Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalazar with Hive Mind Gaming, coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video. So, got some big news for this weekend. A lot of you may have already seen this, but for those that haven't, some pretty big news this weekend. So, really cool events coming up. This weekend is going to be full of events. They're launching all of them simultaneously. So first, this Thursday, which will be tomorrow, they're planning on launching a ×2 event for summoning epics and legendary champions from Void Shards. So this is the regular scheduled week to do the Void Shards, the ×2 Void Shards. But this event's going to last for 96 hours. That's 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, yes, please. So those of you that are close to your daily login, you should be getting a void there. Anybody getting voids through Clan Boss, things like that. And of course, through their specials. Doom Tower can give you void shards. So lots of different places to get void shards. So lots of cool opportunity there. Next, on Thursday, they're also planning to launch a ×10 event at the same time that they're doing the ×2, and it's going to be all Shadowkin faction. So with that happening, my guess is Shadowkin Faction Wars is probably right around the corner. So the first one on the list for the Shadowkin is the Fanatic. So it's going to be the Void Rare Fanatic, who kind of sucks, really. Attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns, then has a 30% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff instead if the target is under 2 or more debuffs. So that 30% goes up to 40% fully booked. Next, we have his A2, which is attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of books up to 100% chance of transferring 2 random debuffs from this champion to the target. And then his A3 is on a 5-turn cooldown, books down to a 4, places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns, and removes 1 random buff from each ally. I mean, yes, his kit's okay, but there's just better champs out there to do the things that he does. So, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't be pulling for him if that's what you're pulling for. All right, so the next Void champ that is going to be in this ×10 is Jinbo. So Jinbo the Dishonored, who's actually really good. So his A1 is attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit steals any increased attack buffs. Each hit also has a 30% chance of stealing 1 random buff. The increased attack buff still cannot be resisted. So if they've got it, he's taking it. Period. End of story. Which is pretty darn cool. That 30% chance of stealing a random buff, though, goes up to 50% fully booked. And this guy likes to read. Let's see. All attacks all enemies on his A2, has an 80% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn. And that 80% goes up to 100% fully booked. This effect cannot be resisted on critical hits. So if if you set his crit rate to 100%, he is going to always do this no matter what his accuracy. So he's actually not going to need accuracy. And that is on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. His A3 is on a 6-turn cooldown, the books down to a 4. It places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. So that pretty much, knocks it down to even further. So pretty good abilities there. And then his passive is immune to decreased attack debuffs, will ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under an increased attack buff. So this is actually really good in Arena. I mean, really good in Arena. It's going to kill Swift Parry sets. It's going to kill, what's her name? Senacia's girlfriend or twin sister, Skull Crown. Yeah, so it's gonna totally stop that Skull Crown stuff. All right, and then his aura is increase ally speed in arena battles by 20%. So obviously an arena champ. All right, then our next one on our list is a Boro. So who looks pretty damn cool. She's probably one of my favorite, to be honest, from the Shadowkin by her look. I just love that look. The old Raiden look from Mortal Kombat. All right, so her A1 is attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff. That books up to a 50% chance. Will attack all enemies instead if the target is under 4 or more debuffs. Then her A2 attacks one enemy 2 times. The second hit has a 75% chance, it books up to a 100% chance, of transferring all debuffs from this champion to the target. The first hit has a 100% chance, fully booked, of stealing all buffs from the target when attacking under a Veil or Perfect Veil. Her A3 places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy, places a Perfect Veil buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack is critical. So it's on a 5-turn cooldown, books down to a 3-turn cooldown, and again, the Shadowkin are very educated peoples. Alright, Vanish places a Revive on Death buff on this champion for 3 turns whenever they receive a Veil or Perfect Veil buff. So, I mean, she's a pretty solid champ, guys. She'd probably be worth pulling for, I would say. Increases ally attack in dungeons by 33%. Alright, and then finally, we have our one void legendary Riho Bone Spear. Her A1 is attacks one enemy, places a 15% continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 1 turn. Also places a 77.5% continuous heal buff on all allies with 30% HP or less for 1 turn. Her A2 places a stun debuff on a target enemy for 1 turn, as well as an HP burn debuff, a 60% decreased defense debuff, a 25% weaken debuff, and a 50% decreased attack debuff, and a 30% decreased crit rate debuff for 2 turns, then attacks the target. Holy crap. Yeah, so that is a crazy ability. That's on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. Gee, bus. Yeah. That's a lot of debuffs on 1 target. Her A3 removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a block debuffs buff on them for 2 turns, also heals all allies by 35% of their max HP, and by a further 5% for each debuff removed from them. Whew, this kid is crazy good. That's on a 6-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. And then finally her passive, when receiving any debuffs, instantly transfers them from this champion to the attacker. Will not transfer debuffs that cannot be removed. And that's on a 3-turn cooldown. So this will only happen once every 3 turns, which is still really good. And then her passive, or her aura, is increases ally attack and faction crits by 42%. This ability, though, right here, man, this is so good. This is so good. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that it had the decreased crit rate, those would be all 4 things you would want on the clan boss. I mean, decreased crit rate is not horrible either, but those 4 right there are the 4, because the stun won't land anyway, but those 4 right there are exactly what you want every time you're fighting the clan boss, unless it's unkillable, then you don't need the decreased attack. But the other 3 are really good. I mean, she's so good, guys. So good. All right. So that is a pretty good times 10 for sure. And then it's not over. That event will be active for 48 hours. So for 2 days, that event. That way, if you don't want those Shadowkin, hold off your voids until that's over and then pull them on like Saturday. That way you don't have to worry about the times 10 to get those specific voids. And then the third event they're going to do on Sunday, they're planning to launch a guaranteed champion event. So you already know the rules, how guarantees work. Once you pull the amount that they tell you to pull, you get a specific champion. If you pull that champion while pulling those 15 shards, or while you're pulling those shards that they tell you to pull, then it's done. That's it. And when you get that champion at the end of that 15, or that number that they tell you, spoiler alert, it's 15 for this event, then it doesn't reset your mercy timer either. So keep that in mind. All right. So yes, it's 15. Once you pull 15 shards, and this is on Sunday. So if you want that character or that champion that's coming out with the 15 shard pull, then hold off pulling your shards until Sunday if you have 15 or more, or at least hold off 15 so you can pull those on Sunday to get that guaranteed champ. Now, who is that guaranteed champ? No other than one of the best rezzers in the game, revivers in the game, Ursala. So yeah, her kit is just crazy good. Her revive is just crazy good. All right, let's see. Her A1 is attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10%. Her A2 attacks all enemies, has a 75% that books up to 100% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. Also places a 50% increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. And then her A3, which is just good. It's on a 6-turn cooldown, books down to a 5, revives all dead allies with 75% HP, then refills their turn meter by 50%, also places a 60% increased defense buff and a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 3 turns. 3 turns! That's huge. Now, it is on a 5-turn cooldown, so fully booked. So, but in all fairness, you're not gonna revive many times anyway, depending on what you're doing. Now, if you're in arena, there's not a lot of times that I use revive at all in arena. I mean, only against stall teams do I ever use revive more than once. But now in Doom Tower, depends on how you're building your team. If you don't have a seer or a poison exploder, then I mean she might be exactly what you need to help you get through waves, because she's going to bring guys back and give them increased defense and strengthen and HP and turn meter. I mean, all 4 of those things are really good when you're reviving someone, and then it's your whole team that you're reviving. So if she's really tanky and the rest of your team is taking the brunt of everything, she's just bringing them right back. I mean, just so good. And then she's got Doom Tower Speed Aura for 25%. So she is just really good. I don't actually have her either. So, I mean, she's really, really good. But, yeah, so that is what we're looking for this weekend. We've got so many things going on. You just got to pick and choose what you want to do and how you want to run your shards pull your shards, because ×2 void is fantastic. That's the best time to pull your void shards, or any shards, is when during a ×2, not during the ×10. ×10 doesn't mean ×10 chance to pull a legendary or epic. It means if you pull a legendary or epic, you get a ×10 chance to pull that specific one. So don't get confused by that, guys. All right. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about these choices. I do like the fact that they're doing a guaranteed epic instead of a legendary and only doing 15. I would much rather it be like 5 or 10, because they put so much emphasis on voids anyway. If they did do a legendary, my guess is they would probably do around 150, just like they did the ancient shards, but that's nor here nor there. So anyway, so let's just be happy that it's a really good epic for only 15 voids, guaranteed for 15 voids. Plus, on top of that, it's during a ×2, so we're going to hopefully be pulling lots of good epics and voids at the same time anyway. So, or lots of good epics and legendaries at the same time anyway. So anyway, so that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you like what you've seen and you want to see more, hit the like button and join the Hive by hitting the subscribe button. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.